Part 1. Arrival and Choice, Beginning. The metallic hum of the space station reverberated through the corridor as Sergeant Kael Draven strode toward the reward chamber. After years of service on the frontier worlds, after countless battles against alien insurgents, he had finally earned a reward, a privilege granted only to those who survived the grueling campaigns and made it back in one piece. The station was quiet, almost eerily so, save for the soft clicks of Kael's boots against the polished steel floor. He had heard stories of this chamber, tales whispered among the soldiers, a place where the victorious were allowed to choose any companion they wished, a reward of companionship, loyalty, or more. But he never thought he would actually be here, standing before the open gates that led into the chamber where dozens of beings waited. Kael paused at the threshold, scanning the line of figures before him. They were diverse, a mosaic of shapes, sizes, and alien physiologies, each more exotic than the last. Some were humanoid, others were almost insectal, with multi-jointed limbs and iridescent eyes. There were aquatic types in suspended fluid pods, and aerial types perched on floating platforms, their delicate wings reflecting the soft lights of the chamber. But one figure caught his attention almost immediately. She was small, fragile-looking, almost delicate. Her skin was pale with faint traces of violet, and her eyes, huge, luminescent, and sorrowful, seemed to draw him in despite her timid posture. She wore a simple garment that barely covered her, yet she did not exude confidence like some of the others. She looked weak. Kael walked slowly, weighing his options. The other beings were imposing, muscular, elegant, or radiating an aura of power that demanded respect. But the smaller, seemingly fragile woman seemed harmless. Easy to manage, he thought. Her, he said finally, pointing toward her. I choose her. A soft sigh escaped her lips, almost like a whisper of relief, and she slowly rose, her slender form moving toward him. Kael felt a strange pang of curiosity. Why would someone so fragile look relieved to be chosen? But he dismissed it. He was used to strange alien behavior. Name? He asked, stepping closer. She hesitated. I am Lyria, she said softly, her voice barely above a whisper, yet strangely melodic. Kael nodded. Lyria. Well, Lyria, let's see what you're made of. He didn't realize that those words would prove far more literal than he imagined. Part 2. The journey begins, middle, discovery and suspense. Over the next few days, Kael escorted Lyria back to his ship, a heavily armed transport vessel that he had customized for long-range missions. She remained quiet, almost ghost-like, drifting through the corridors of the ship as if she were part of its machinery rather than a living being. At first, Kael found her meekness annoying. She tripped over his boots, misjudged the gravity of certain corridors, and seemed incapable of performing even simple tasks without guidance. Crew members whispered behind her back, mocking her fragile form. Kael tried to ignore it, but doubt began to creep in. Had he chosen poorly? Then the first incident happened. They were en route to the asteroid field of Xerath 5, an uncharted mining zone where Kael had orders to secure rare energy crystals. The moment the ship entered the dense field, alarms blared. Meteoroids larger than buildings pummeled the hull, and Kael shouted orders to his crew. Shields up. Evasive maneuvers. Kael noticed Lyria standing frozen in the corridor, staring at the chaos outside. A fragment of rock struck the hull near her, and instead of panicking, she raised her hand, almost instinctively. A wave of iridescent energy shot out from her palm, striking the incoming fragment midair. It shattered silently into harmless dust. Kael's jaw dropped. He had seen energy manipulation in a few elite alien species, but nothing like this, especially not from someone who seemed so fragile. What are you?" he stammered. "I am what I appear not to be," Lyria said simply, her gaze calm and steady as she deflected another incoming fragment. The crew watched in awe as she moved through the corridor, her small form projecting shields and beams of energy that absorbed or deflected every attack. Kael's initial assumptions shattered. This weak, timid woman was not weak at all. She was terrifyingly powerful, and she had been hiding it. By the time the asteroid field cleared, Kael felt a mixture of awe, fear, and guilt. He had judged her purely by appearance, a mistake that could have cost them their lives. "Lyria," he said quietly, standing beside her on the observation deck, "why didn't you show this before?" She turned, her violet eyes reflecting the asteroid debris outside. "Because showing power when no one expects it can be dangerous. Some fear what they cannot understand." Kael nodded slowly. He realized then that her meekness was a mask, a survival mechanism in a galaxy where strength determined respect, and appearances could be lethal. Part 3. Secrets Unveiled, Middle, Bonding and Conflict. As days turned into weeks, Kael and Lyria traveled together across multiple systems. The journey, initially a simple escort mission, became an odyssey of discovery. Lyria's abilities were vast and mysterious. She could manipulate energy, sense danger before it arrived, and even heal minor injuries with a touch. Yet, she refused to demonstrate her full power unless absolutely necessary, teaching Kael patience and respect along the way. During one stop on a remote colony, Kael saw the reactions of the locals to her presence. Children followed her in awe, elders bowed slightly in reverence, and mercenaries gave her a wide berth. Even the station security kept their distance, whispering among themselves. "What is it about you?" Kael asked one evening as they sat in the ship's galley. He poured himself a cup of synthesized coffee, the bitter aroma filling the small space. "My people, I am not what your eyes perceive," Lyria said softly. "I was born of a line of guardians. Weakness is a lie I have carried to survive." Kael stared at her, trying to comprehend. "Guardians? Of what?" "Of balance," she replied, her gaze distant. "Of power that must not fall into the wrong hands. Humans like you are not aware of the stakes, the threats lurking in the shadows between stars. I protect when I must. I hide when I can." Kael felt the weight of responsibility settle heavily on him. He had chosen her for her appearance, but now he understood that her presence was far more than a reward. It was a safeguard, a shield for the galaxy itself. Their journey wasn't without danger. Pirates, rogue AIs, and alien factions sought the rare energy crystals Kael transported. Time and again, Lyria's abilities saved them. Yet she remained humble, almost sorrowful, as if each use of power carried a burden too heavy for a fragile frame. In quiet moments, Kael began to understand her better. Her silence wasn't weakness. It was observation. Her calmness wasn't fearlessness. It was control. And her compliance wasn't submission. It was choice. Part 4. The Ultimate Test, Climax. The real test came when they reached the orbital station of Veydra, a massive trading hub notorious for its lawlessness. Kael had orders to deliver a rare quantum crystal, but the moment they docked, trouble found them. A notorious warlord, Vorak, had been tracking their ship. With a fleet of sleek, deadly fighters, he attempted to seize the crystal, attacking the station with precision strikes. Chaos erupted. Civilians screamed, alarms blared, and the station shuddered under the bombardment. Kael ran toward the control room, Lyria at his side. But Vorak's flagship descended into the central bay, and soldiers poured in, their weapons aimed directly at the humans. Kael felt a surge of desperation. He reached for his plasma rifle, ready to fight to the death. "Stop," Lyria whispered, placing a hand gently on his shoulder. Before Kael could respond, the air shimmered around her. Energy erupted in waves, forming barriers, shields, and offensive strikes that disarmed, disabled, and incapacitated Vorax forces without killing them. Her movements were precise, graceful, and devastating. She was no mere human or even ordinary alien. She was something else entirely. Kael watched, awestruck, as she neutralized the threat with minimal damage to the station and no loss of civilian life. When it was over, the station's chief of security approached, bowing deeply. "I have never seen such power contained with such restraint. You young lady. You are remarkable." Lyria only nodded quietly. Power is not meant to impress. It is meant to protect. Kael, for the first time, felt humility wash over him. He had chosen her for her seeming weakness, but she had shown him the true measure of strength. Part 5. Resolution and Revelation, ending. After the incident at Veydra, Kael and Lyria continued their journey together, but their bond had changed. Respect, understanding, and trust had replaced curiosity and judgment. Kael no longer saw her as fragile. He saw her as indispensable. One night, as they floated in orbit around a silent planet, Kael spoke. "I misjudged you, Lyria. I thought I was choosing a companion, a reward. I didn't realize I was choosing a guardian, a partner, a force beyond reckoning." She smiled faintly, a rare warmth in her violet eyes. "And I misjudged humans. I thought you were blind to the extraordinary, bound by appearances. But you saw beyond what I let show." Kael reached for her hand. "We'll face the galaxy together," he said. "Whatever comes, we face it together." Lyria's fingers intertwined with his. "Together," she agreed. The stars stretched endlessly before them, a canvas of infinite possibilities. And as the ship sailed into the unknown, Kael knew one truth that would never leave him. Appearances could deceive, strength could hide in fragility, and the greatest rewards were often those least expected. In the vastness of space, a human soldier had chosen a companion he thought weak, and in doing so, he had found not only power beyond comprehension but loyalty, wisdom, and a secret that would forever change the course of his life. For Lyria, the galaxy was no longer just a place of hiding. It was a place where her secret could protect, inspire, and reshape the universe in ways no one could have imagined. And she would never hide it again. Not from him, not from anyone.